Good morning, this is Lynx. I got a kind of a big one here. This can change your reading forever. I've laid it out because already because I want to tackle something specific. What if, this is for those of you who read Lenormand, and those of you who read tarot or playing cards or other oracles, or even runes, this card combination thing is really, really powerful when you consider that one can describe another. So, for example, a card combination of a woman and the anchor could be a stubborn woman, for example, or a woman who needs rest, or a woman who's resting. I'm going to show you what if you're doing a reading for yourself or someone else, and you take the reading literally as an analogy. So in some cases, people will say, okay, well, I threw down the cards with Lenormand is a big one. It doesn't make sense. Maybe it does. Maybe it makes sense on an analogous level rather than as a literal level. Because though people say that, and Lenormand is fantastic at giving you literal, it's also fantastic at giving you analogies. I'm using my fairy tale Lenormand here too, and then personally I use the fairy tales for another level of unlocking things relating to the subconscious with a person. So you can get a very literal meaning that tells you exactly what's going to happen, and then you can get the motivations behind it, and you can get an analogy that could change things for you. And I'm going to show you how that happens. I hope this is not too much. So we got a person here who defines himself as a pessimist. This is the example that I'm using. Defines himself as a pessimist and finds himself limited by security fears and assumes the worst. Knows he assumes the worst. So then, how do we help this person if they come to you? Because in a lot of these cases, someone will come to you and they're like, well, what do I do? Now, if you just use the fortune-telling side of things, you can't help them. You can say, well, this is the outcome, that's what it's going to be. Well, let's look at it this way. We've got the star in the book. We've got the mountain in the garden. We've got the message or the letter in the key. We've got the anchor in the woman. The lily and the rings. And the heart and the... So that, the heart and the ship. So, let's look at the motivation why he gets there. Far out knowledge, far out stories. This is the book and the star. Far out knowledge and far out stories create an obstacle to social connections and social satisfaction. The stories are the key to this individual's stubborn, it all has to come to him attitude. Should he get out of that his own way, and that meaning is coming for the lily based on this story. This story is actually all about a young woman this is the lily of life, all about a young woman who gets out of the way. She does, all of her motivations in this story are for her sister and her sister's true love. It is a beautiful story, which gives a whole new meaning to a whole nuanced other layer to the lily, because the lily really is about getting out of your own way, second chances, new life that comes from getting out of your own way. Okay? And then he has the romance that he wants in the end. So now, let me give you the other piece. How I know this is working is because this individual is hooked on stories. I mean, all sorts of stories. Movies, stories, books, sci-fi books, fantasy, all sorts of fantasy stuff. and stories about people bringing themselves down, and stories that are self-involved as well, and builds up a whole mythology. This ends up in a whole alternate reality that even goes towards cosplay and things like that. Nothing wrong with any of that. However, what's happening in this case is the personal mythology he's built up stands in the way of true social satisfaction. Creates social anxiety as well. Stories are the key. Okay, so now we've got the motivations here. Okay? So what do we do next? What happens if we rearrange the cards to see if there's a new possibility? Let's take, then you start playing with this. Let's take, and you can do this with yourself or with a client. Let's take these two. It would seem to me that because these four are together, getting out of the way. So let's say that putting another person first or other people first or getting in a contract, an arrangement or something. Also, there's limitations to romance here as well. So the personal mythology and stories have created the entire matrix that inhibits the true social satisfaction. So let's move this front. Start with, let's rearrange it. Let's see what happens. Start with getting out of the way and putting other people first. Not your mythology, not your stories, but their story first. Asking questions, getting to know other person, truly getting to what another person needs. Not judging them based on the fact that they don't fit into your rigid mythology or story or romance idea. Whatever that romance is. Because we all have romance. People have a romance based on politics, the romance of their ideas. Politics, stories, family ideas, the fact that they want children, don't want children, how their life should be, where they should live. So we'll call this the greater romance. Okay, because this one, the ship comes up for romance. And the heart with it, true satisfying romance. So we want this as the outcome. So let's leave that at the end. Start here. So we start this, and then we look at the obstacles, right? And then we'll move that one next to it. Let's move this one all the way at the end. Let's change this one, put it in the middle. Okay, so now now let's read it for the person like a fortune, like it's coming. Getting yourself out of the way, dropping your own personal goals and desires for all of this, and getting to know another person first. Remove social obstacles. No. Let's put this one next. There's a logic here. We read it like a sentence. So, getting out of the way is the key to changing your story. Removing social obstacles. Gaining the security that you feel that you've been lacking. Getting a true heart connection with the ship, because the ship can indicate like a deeper connection, especially since this is Tristan and Isolde. And give new hope and rewrite your stories. Okay? I'm going to leave it there. I could go into this much more deeply. This is the steps. Lay out the card pairs. Read them literally. So like, for example, let's say I was doing this for someone yesterday, and I got the ship and the child. And it was like, I read it as a foreign child living in a house. They're like, there was no foreign child. This was them. They were feeling alienated in their own home, their own life, their own body. So it became the foreign child. So read them literally. So for this, so like, for example, far out, way out stories. Okay? The book and the star. Deep heart romance and adventure and movement. Because also this person can't move, is stuck. And this all came about because the person was stuck. couldn't move and wouldn't move. So read it, lay the pairs out in an order until so you feel you have a complete story here. That's the only way I could say it. You got to feel it goes to completion. So in this case, it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pairs. Gave me a good way to do. Don't start with a grand tableau. You'll get yourself way in over your head. Start with a sentence. Start to rearrange the sentence. Maybe you start with 3 pairs when you start this, okay? So then read it literally in a row. It gives you the motivation and it gives you what's going on under the surface. Start to rearrange the elements of the sentence and the story. See if it gives you a solution. If you get stuck in it, if you're doing this for yourself because you don't read for other people or you can't read for other people, read it in third person. Shift it to third person. So there's a person. So like you're a woman, you're reading it. There's a woman who is. Okay? So read it, lay the cards out. Read it literally as a sentence. Start rearranging the order and see if that doesn't give you a solution. Apply the solution in your life. See if it liberates you or loosens things up or changes things. And then let me know what happens. If you want to see more of these, I'll do some other examples. Let me know. Feel free to join my Wild Ass Cartomancy, and if you do, we could do some of these in that group. It's on Facebook, Wild Ass Cartomancy. This is the process. Try it out. See what happens. Remember, start by reading the cards literally. People are always saying with Lenormand they have a difficult time because it's like doesn't make sense. There is no foreign child. Well, maybe you're the foreign child. Maybe that's analogy. You're the foreigner. The far out are the stories from far away. You know, the far out, the stories from far, far away. Star Wars, Star Trek, science fiction stories. And I will say, in this particular case, those are a big influence. So the individual has these great ideals based on these fantasies. The fantasies are for the foundation of the belief. The belief inhibits what really goes on in a social interaction so that it's not real. It's based on personal mythology, which we all do. And none of this is a criticism. This is a way to help us move past our limitations. What happens if you use these to troubleshoot, to break through limitations, and to look at what's really going on with you? Read it literally, line them up, arrange the order of the sentence, see if that gives you a solution, apply it to your life, see what it does. So, no longer can you say, well, it doesn't make sense. There is no this, this, and this. There is no stubborn woman. Maybe in that case, you're the stubborn individual. Okay? And you don't have to read it as a woman. Maybe you're the stubborn individual, expecting it to come to you. Okay? So in some cases, when the woman comes up for a man, I'll say, well, maybe you're expecting it up. Maybe you need to take a receptive approach, or the other way for a woman getting a man, I'll say maybe you need to take a projective approach. Okay. Also, I will tell you, since I've started reading, oftentimes the woman will come up for a man when the individual is gay, and the man will come up for a woman when the woman is gay. It's just the way it's always happened, and this individual is gay. So read them literally, see what you get, order things. Wishing you success and good fortune in this. I hope this unlocks something for you. It will do tremendous things for your ability to read, and it will unlock a profoundly deep understanding. Now, for those of you who, I'm going to throw in a pitch at the end. For those of you who like the cards, contact me. I can get you a deck of these. These are my design. And there's another layer that I use on top of it that uses the stories that these are based on to actually unlock subconscious pieces and use the stories as a clue to how to get past the limits. I'm Lucky Lynx, wishing you success and good fortune in all that you do. I hope this makes sense, and if you have any questions, as always, put them in the thing below, and you guys have a great day.